Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at Two-Fisted Tales number 12, continuing our look at this wonderful war comic published by EC Comics in the early 1950s. Once again, we have a Harvey Kurtzman cover. It's so interesting when you really look at Harvey Kurtzman's ink work and line work. If you look closely, how it's really crude. Look at this hand here. It almost reminds me of a Jack Kirby hand, where no hand has ever looked like that in real life, unless it was crushed under a log or something. But it totally works. And just his ink brush strokes, they're so expressive and not really realistic. But it all just gives it this excitement. The art really seems to be moving, almost like Jack Kirby, where it's just it's vibrant on the page, or almost vibrating on the page. But once again, this is just another cover just showing how shitty war is. And yeah, we see this guy just getting shot right through his body. You barely notice it, but this you can kind of see the tracer line of the bullet as it's coming out from his other side. So once again, a very dramatic cover from Kurtzman. And once again, Harvey Kurtzman writes all the comics, all the stories in here. We're going to start off with a Jack Davis drawn story, Korea. And this is a pretty intense story. God, this Jack Davis art is so nice. This is some really grade A Jack Davis. So we're in the then current war, police action in Korea. We see these guys are playing cards or playing dice near a truck. All of a sudden, the North Koreans fire, and they kill two of the guys. The two remaining guys are like, holy shit, get under the truck. All they have is one revolver. They left their rifles in the truck, and they can't jump up and get them or they'll get shot. So they can hear some commotion up on the truck bed, and it's the North Koreans. They're commandeering the truck. One of the guys here is, he's just so furious that they shot his buddy. And he keeps just fuming about these North Koreans. He calls them a derogatory term throughout the story. He just hates them all now. So their plan is, once they pull away, they're going to roll into a ditch before they can get shot. And then the angry guy, the whole time he just keeps saying, they killed my buddy, come on. So now they run back to the where their troops are hanging out. And they're like, give me a Jeep. We're going to get those guys. I'm going to fucking kill them. God, that's a great face right there. So they get in this Jeep. The angry guy is driving. And the whole time he's just ranted about he's going to kill them all. They all deserve to die. So they finally get within range. His buddy fires. And they mow down this Jeep with the enemy soldiers in it. And they kill most of them. God, that's a great panel. That's a really well-drawn vehicle right there. So there's two that made it, that didn't die. They crawl out of the Jeep. And he's like, we're going to kill them too. Kill them. They duck into a hut. And he's just like, come on. He's just so wants to kill them. He's bloodthirsty. So I guess they're heading towards this paddy and the huts, where the huts are. And so this guy knows a shortcut, drives around, cuts them off before they can reach shelter. And then he grabs the gun himself and just mows them down. It's another great panel. The whole time he's just ranting, how do you like it? How do you like it, motherfuckers? I'm saying motherfuckers instead of the word he's saying. Obviously, he didn't say motherfucker. And then there's one left, though. He's not quite dead. And he has his hands up like he wants to surrender. And I think he's actually saying in North Korean, like, I surrender. And the angry guy's not going for it. He's like, beg for your life. I'm going to give it to you like you gave it to my buddy. And then the other guy is just so like, gets in the way of him, right in the path of his gun. And he basically picks the guy up. He says, this man's wounded. He's our prisoner. We don't have to kill him. We'll take him back alive. So the angry guy just says, fine. And he's kind of abusing him, kicking him. He's like, walk in front of me. Get up or I'll kill you now. Like he wants to kill him so bad. And he's just abusing this poor guy. And then finally the guy passes out. The North Korean passes out. So the guy carries him to the Jeep because the angry guy won't even help. He's like, I'm not carrying him. You can if you want. And they drive back to where their troops are. And as soon as they get there, all these American soldiers are totally, oh, this poor guy's wounded. Let's get him to the med tent. Maybe we can save him. And the angry guy, of course, is just spits on the ground. He's like, save him for what? And then the angry guy's, partner here, this is kind of a little sappy homily. He says, basically how war is funny. Our basic rules of thou shalt not kill go out the window in war. When you see your buddies being killed, it becomes so easy to kill a man. And yet in the middle of all this killing, how many of us will remember that each and every human being each and every life on earth is important? Oh God, how many will remember? A little sappy, but really exciting story. I was really into this story when I was reading. I was like, oh, what's going to happen? I was turning the pages very quickly. This one's great. It's a Red Knight, all about the Red Baron, and it's drawn by John Severin solo. Really nice art in this one. So it's April 21st, 1918. World War I is 4 years old. Over this French village, we see a trench, an Allied trench, and they see this German plane gliding into no man's land towards them. We see these two British soldiers, and they're like, heads down, he's going to strafe us. And the other one is a little more experienced, and he says, it doesn't look like he's going to strafe. He's going too slow. I do believe he's trying to land. And then we cut away. It's kind of a weird story. It's not much of a story. It's just like these little vignettes. And then we go back to January 24th, 1917. We see a younger Red Baron requesting acknowledgement of my 18th victory. And then we see his 18th victory. Each page is just a little mini story of aerial combat. And I'm a big sucker for this kind of stuff. I love, one of my favorite comic characters is Enemy Ace from DC Comics. And so this is just, I was loving this. Then we jump ahead. Now he's requesting his 50-second acknowledgement of his 30-second victory. And we get to see that Arab battle. And it just continues like that. One-page mini stories. They're not always so noble. Sometimes it's a plane's already like limping back to base, and he'll be like, yeah, like a sitting duck. And I'll just take it out. Man, I love this Severin art. Severin did some of the Enemy stories when Joe Kubert couldn't. And we continue with another tale of him knocking someone out of the sky. Now we come back to the present, and we see the Red Baron's plane, and he does land. And all these British guys run up to it. They're like, be sharp, men. We gotta investigate this. And when they pull him out of the plane, he's dead with 2 bullet holes through his chest. And they realize it's the Red Baron. The Red Baron, just like, God, by the end of the war, he had like 80 kills, way higher than anyone else. There's a reason why we remember his name. He really was quite the hunter of the skies. We have a letter page, fine arts page, and we have a little prose page to satisfy the Postmaster General. This is called Scout Snipers by Tech Sergeant James C. Jones Jr., Marine Corps Combat Correspondent. And this is actually current at the time. This is just telling us new developments in the Korean War, and it's very dry, just telling the reader about how there's this new division of the Marines, the snipers, and they're really turning the tide of battle. And they just tell us about this whole operation. Kind of interesting. I imagine at the time, this was is like reading Time or Life magazine. It was like, this is real information, real news. So now we have Washington, penciled by Severin, inked by Bill Elder. And this is like showing that, it wasn't all glory for Washington in the Revolutionary War. It's September 1776. Washington's on Manhattan, and the British, thousands of British troops are sailing up the bay, from the bay, and heading towards George Washington. The British are attacking at last. They've been waiting for a while. George Washington thinks to himself, New York must not fall. This could have been a turning point in the war. If New York fell, we might have lost the war. So we see the British ships and their cannon firing at these men. And this is probably something you couldn't have after the Common Code Authority. One of these Americans gets his head blown off by cannon shot. That's pretty insane. And we see these guys in the trenches here waiting for the English to arrive. They're basically just like militiamen. They're not professional soldiers. They were called up and to fight. And we see the whole army rowing their boats towards the shore. And these guys are kind of freaking out. And some of them start to cut and run. They're just like, we didn't volunteer for us. That's the whole freaking British Army. Let's get out of here. A lot of them are just like, let's go home. It's crop time. Fuck this shit. I'm done being a soldier. And it becomes a total rout. They're all just running, defeated. I like this panel of them all running towards us, all with fear on their face. And then Washington shows up and he's like, stop where you are. He starts whipping the men. Nobody's listening to him. He's just surrounded by these guys running away from the battle. And he's whipping them and he's threatening them. He's cursing at them. He basically says, I'll kill you if you keep running. He's pleading with them to stay. And he's cursing up a storm here. Look at that curse. That's a long one. So he actually pulls his gun. And luckily his gun misfires. So then he throws his gun at this poor guy's head here. It conks him out. And he just keeps trying. He's grabbing guys by the shoulder, by their shirts, saying, stop, come back. Do you hear me? Come back. And then finally, they're all gone. And we see that now you could tell just by this gesture, he drops his sword weakly. His hand looks like he can't even hold the sword anymore. And then he just says, come back. The army doesn't listen. The army does not come back. And the British troops start marching in by the thousands. But George Washington just sits there on his horse. Look at him, he's just broken. It looks like he's had a nervous breakdown. He says, what does it matter now? Finally, an aide comes and takes his bridle and leads him away from the troops. as if he's a man without his mind. Go back, George Washington, go back to your ragtag army. Go back to this seemingly hopeless war, for your destiny is set. The road does not end here. It goes over the Delaware River to all these famous battles. Go back, George Washington, a nation is being born. Another kind of sappy ending, just by the prose. But not a sappy story. This is like kind of a weird little character portrait of George Washington. We always just see him as this like kick-ass dude who won every battle, but he had his bad days. So now this is interesting. We have a new artist join the roster. I don't know if it's a good thing compared to like exchanging Wally Wood for him, but it's Dave Berg, the mad artist who all of our childhoods was one of the worst cartoonists we ever saw. He was terrible, the most unfunny cartoonist in the world, and also his art style was just so gross to me. I hate Dave Berg's lighter side comics. I never liked him. When I was like 5, I loved everything he made except for those. And I'd be like, oh, God. But look how good he was. I've seen some Dave Berg 50s artwork before. He did a lot of war comics. I think he even did some stuff for Atlas. And he's so much better than. Now, of course, this is not Wally Wood, so I'm not happy with this change. But it's not bad. And he's got an interesting style, actually, that I kind of like his war comics. So once again, we're back in Korea in the 50s. And this one's called Fire Mission. We see this green apple here, this young kid, and he's really just like antsy and worried about the enemy coming. And then there's this old timer, this guy with red hair, and he constantly says, what's the use of worrying, kid? All that can happen is you get killed. This guy's just no fear of death anymore. He's just like, whatever, if I die, I don't give a shit. Then there's another older guy. He says, don't let the firing get you down, son. It's just a little firefight up ahead. It doesn't involve us. We're in the rear guard here. We're the mortar men. So he's trying to like ease this kid's fears. Here they are in their little foxhole. Their sergeant is a little higher up on this little crest, and he's observing the battle. He's on the telephone talking to his commanding officers. They're trying to figure out what's going on. And all of a sudden he gets the call, Sergeant, fire mission. And he yells to his boys, fire mission. I guess that's like a command, basically just like, we got to start firing these mortars. So they all get excited. They're like, fire mission, set them fuses on the double. And they start loading the mortar. Once again, we see all of this nomenclature, military nomenclature for the actual, what they say during a mortar when they're preparing. Probably Harvey Kurtzman researched the shit out of this once again. So they start firing the mortars, and then the sergeant gets news over the phone. He's like, we're being overrun. Click. Like the guy got killed. And he's just all like, oh shit, they've overrun the front lines. They're heading this way. So he just keeps yelling to his guys, fire mission. And then one of the guys bringing up a mortar shell from behind, I guess there's other guys behind him, he gets shot. The enemies are there. The Chinese are shooting right at him. This young kid loses it. He says, let's run. The older guy, the nicer guy, he grabs him and says, hold it, boy, we need you. And of course the redhead guy says, don't be scared, kid. All that can happen is you can get killed. And look at his face here. Even though he's saying, I'm not scared, I'm not scared. He's trying to convince himself. And then all of a sudden the sergeant walks back towards the foxhole, and they think, oh my God, it looks like he's been hit. They're not sure though. They're like, why is the sergeant coming back? We need an observer. And the other guy's like, I told you, he was hit. So he collapses. Now this redheaded guy with no fear, the private without fear here, he just told me, he's just all like, oh, I'll take his place. What's the worst that they're gonna do? Kill me? That's all they can do to me. And he just kind of amiably, or not amiably, just kind of saunters up to this top of this ridge so he can observe. And of course, he gets shot. He's right out in the open. And even as he falls, he doesn't even seem like scared, or he's just like, all they can do is kill you once again. So now the older soldier says, "Goddamn moron, walking in the open like that. Listen, kid, you're going to operate this mortar. I'm going to go up to the top of this crest. I'll take the sergeant's place." But then the kid grabs him. He says, "No, wait, I'm not scared. I'll do it. You're better at the mortar than me anyway. I'm going to do it." And he runs out recklessly. But he is terrified. But he overcomes his fear, and he knows he has to do this, and he does his job well. He yells back the coordinates of where the mortar should go, and they fire the mortars. And then right then, a rifle platoon comes to cover them, so that they have a defense now. The kid comes back to the foxhole, and the older soldier says, "You're a real hero, kid. That was really brave." And the kid is just shaking, and he's like, "Don't make fun of me. I'm not a hero. I was scared shitless out there." And then the old guy says, "Listen, we're all scared. It ain't normal for a man not to be scared. Look at the redheaded guy out there. He wasn't scared. He didn't seem to care one way or another. That's why he's dead. But because we're scared, it, fills your heart with self-preservation. How we use our fear is our own business." That's actually a really good lesson in life. I thought that hit me. I was like, I never thought of it that way before. He says some use it for strength and some use it for weakness. But one thing's for sure, we're all scared. Let's move, fire mission. And that's the end. I haven't commented much about the art, but I really like this Dave Berg art. Like, just kind of, it's a little wonky, the faces. You can almost see that he's like, probably going to be a funny cartoonist, or was at the time, but now he's working straight. There's some really interesting faces in here. I like the way he draws this this redheaded guy. Look at he's just like, whoa, his face is melting because he's so just tired and uncaring. And also the way the terror he draws on this kid's face is kind of funny. You can almost see one of those little kids in the lighter side, but just grown up a little, So another great issue, even though, there's a little sappiness in some of the endings there, but overall, this is just some outstanding top-tier shit. So Two-Fisted Tales number 12. I think we're over halfway through the Two-Fisted Tales. I don't know, there's about 20-something issues, I think. I should look that up. But who cares? We're gonna look at all of them until we're done. So I hope you guys are enjoying looking at these as much as I am. And I hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.